Today we're going to dive into DePIN, go a little bit deeper for you in terms of what this might mean around physical AI. You guys will like it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. We are going to have a couple of people on to really dive in deep, both from OVR and also from Natix, so stick around for that. And we'll get started. I want to kind of open up here on the front end to just show you some of what OVR has been able to do. And you guys have heard Diego on our show before. But where they are, if you look at the Dune Analytics, they continue to climb here on their cumulative 3D maps, which is just exploding right now. So not only that, if you look at what has been building within the ecosystem, when you think spatial computing in general, Niantic has kind of been I won't say the big leader, but they definitely are one that is recognized in the space. And I have a feeling that we may be seeing a little bit of a changing of the guard happening as well. The partnership that came about that really caught our attention was this one right here. Natix Network, our latest partnership with OVR, makes it possible to reconstruct 3D models of the space around us. This opens up the door to countless new use cases. And you kind of see a little bit of what we're going to see in terms of 3D mapping. That kind of technology is really interesting, and that's where we're going to be going with a lot of this. Now I want to jump to a clip, because this is the Natix smartphone, or the Natix smartphone app that will give you a little bit more of a framework before we bring our guest in. Take a look.
Download our app, place the phone on the dashboard of your car, turn on the app, and that's it. Our AI technology turns your phone camera into a smart sensor that scans the road and detects valuable events. And you earn points for every detection and every kilometer driven. You can redeem your points for the latest electronics, health products, planet-saving initiatives, and Natix cryptocurrency. And with existing and upcoming features like dashcam, navigation, and parking availability, Natix Drive and is your perfect driving companion. So why wait? Download Natix Drive and earn with every drive.
All right, so I want to bring in our guest, and that of course is Diego coming in from OVR and also Alireza coming in from Natix. Great to have you guys on the show today. How are you?
Hi everybody.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Paul, for having us.
Yeah, good to see you. So first of all, congratulations, Diego. Continued growth here on OVR mapping. When I started to see some of the data, you guys are just flying up in terms of the engagement. I am assuming that this partnership's only going to explode that maybe even further.
First of all, we've been knowing Alireza since a long time now, and so I'm really happy that we landed this partnership. And to us, this really makes a lot of sense because our data is really complementary, I would say, because what we do is actually having super detailed maps on specific locations, for example, a mall or a square and so on, very precise. So we have between 300 and 1,000 pictures every 300 square meters that allow us to have very precise AR in that location. While with Natix, they are mapping streets with dashcams, and basically they have a more extensive map, less detailed than ours, but still, with a much more bigger coverage. So actually combining these two data, we can actually have a value-added value proposition that combines the two. So for example, we can use the data for Natix to actually relocate in space in cities, in all the city, with less precision than our maps, but still much more better than with GPS. While in our case, we can go ultra precise in the location, sub-centimeters. So the two data, can look similar, but actually are very different and very complementary, I would say.
When you look at the blockchains right now, Alireza, for instance, what chains are you on right now? Where is Natix living today?
We are at the moment on Solana.
Is there a plan to go multi-chain? Is that coming down the road?
Yeah, we definitely are looking into that as well, because I believe, the future is multi-chain. But it comes with its own complexities, to be honest with you. You need to divide liquidity. It's something that we are looking at. There are some DePIN specific chains, for example, like Peaq, which we have a good relationship with as well. So we're exploring that as well to go multi-chain. But at the moment, the token is live on Solana blockchain, which I think is the best chain at the moment to build on, especially for DePIN projects and DePIN products.
Yeah. Well, early on, we did see a lot of activity. If you go back a couple of years to Breakpoint, I would say Solana kind of ushered in a lot of the DePIN projects that we saw, even if you look at HiveMapper. You also look at Teleport, I think it was. I know Solana's getting ready to drop another event here in the United States, so I'm excited to maybe see more DePIN projects coming out within that. Speaking of that, I want to go over to your website, Alireza, and this is Natix. You guys are dropping this VX360. I'm very interested in this. I drive a Tesla. I've got a car that has one of these front cameras right now. So explain to me how this works, because I'm confused. I've actually point blanked other CEOs on this very topic of why not use cameras from all these cars that are out there, not only Teslas, but there's other cars out there as well. But explain to me how you guys did this.
Quite simply said, it's a functionality that the car manufacturer, in this case Tesla, allows the user to tap into the cameras, or simply said, have dash cam footages and store them. And this is a functionality that is not just Tesla. It's a couple of other car manufacturers that are also having it. And this allows us to also collect, video data, surrounding video data. So it's not actually just your front camera. It's 4 cameras from the Tesla, 1 front, 2 sides, and 1 rear camera, exactly as you can see here, that we're collecting the data on, as well as certain other metadata, because that adds value to the data. For example, GPS, IMU, these kind of data is very important when you want to kind of analyze the data, and we get into use cases for autonomous driving, for map making. And this box is very simple. You just plug it into the glove box of your Tesla. There's a USB-A port. There is already a USB inside that. You take that out, you plug our box in. It has a very large storage unit. It records 360 video of your entire trip. And as soon as you are connected to Wi-Fi, it uploads this data. So this can be where you park your car at home or at work, or if you don't have connectivity, you can just take the box. It has a very large storage unit, so it can be enough for 1 week of driving pretty much.
Okay.
You can just take it home. You have to just connect it to the electricity plug. It connects to your home Wi-Fi, uploads, and the next day you actually get a notification on your phone to remember to take it with you when you're leaving home. So as simple as that. I still call it tap into existing hardware, because if you wanted to build a 360 camera, it would have costed us bill of material $3,000.
Yeah.
And with a $279 box, we're tapping into something that's worth $3,000 and collects very rich data. And we basically use this data. One of the very easy use cases is map making, which is very similar to Hive Mapper or what we have been doing with our smartphone app. But the second interesting use case, which nobody has been really doing in the DePIN space, is autonomous driving. And this also part of the relationship with OVR is also physical AI and autonomous driving. So one of the pain points in autonomous driving is lack of real world data. At this point, the problem is not AI. The problem is not compute, because NVIDIA is on the cap table of most of these, huge autonomous driving companies. The problem is real world data. To be able to train their AI model. The AI will get better the more data you essentially feed into it. And then you also need data to test and validate. So once I train my AI model, before I deploy it into the roads and potentially let's see how it behaves, I need to make sure that it can navigate crazy scenarios, right? Mm-hmm. Like an animal being on the curbside of the road and suddenly, jumping in. The car needs to be able to behave correctly, essentially, navigate through this situation. So this is why we need a lot of real world data, and there is a real lack of it. And then the other thing is what the partnership with OVR is. We can do 3D reconstruction of the space of the roads, and robots or autonomous cars in this case can use this 3D reconstruction to very precisely, centimeter accuracy, localize themselves in a 3D space and be able to navigate and interact.
Well, that's going to be significant because of OVR's involvement there in terms of going out. And so I see the partnership now of why that makes sense. A couple of questions I have for you, Alireza, is when you look at Tesla, because most Teslas have premium connectivity. Can you utilize the premium connectivity capability to upload the data as well, or is it primarily wireless, a Wi-Fi network only?
We could. The thing is that if you want to record the entire video and upload it, which we actually need it because we have customers that will pay for this, video data is quite heavy. So preferably we want Wi-Fi connectivity, and we don't need this data in real time, to be honest with you. So there is no need to use a cellular connection, essentially.
I see. Okay.
But we're working on smart ways where we're collecting some of the data that is very interesting, and we need it in a more real-time way, using cellular connectivity. For example, if you have mapped the road already a couple of times, and it's already the third time or fourth time the week that this road is being mapped, then we don't need cellular connectivity. But if you have a blind spot that hasn't been mapped before and we really want the data collection to be as soon as possible, then just for that bit of the road that the data is collected and we didn't have any previous data, let's say for the past months, then we can use cellular connectivity. So these are kind of techniques that we are using to go hybrid between Wi-Fi as well as cellular. So this is going to be a higher quality footage than you can see from the Tesla app itself, because we don't compress the video data. It's going to be for your entire trip, not just event based. There are a couple of advantages that you're going to get on the let's say dashcam footage side. You get access to our marketplace. I think you saw it in the animation. You can as well as crypto, let's say reward, you can also access other types of let's say non-crypto rewards. So that's another added value. And you can also get your Natix token and be able to essentially get it to your wallet. The other app that we have, which is already live, this is if you don't have a Tesla, you can still download our app. You can put it on the dashboard of your car, drive around, and also collect data. So this is these are two different products essentially that we're using. But Tesla will come with its own separate, let's say, driver companion app. And the other app, which you don't require to have any specific sort of car, is called Drive In. Essentially, you just plug it into the dashboard of your car and you drive around.
So I have to ask this question in the sense that, I mean, why wouldn't Elon do this? I mean, he's got access to the cameras now. He's got the device capability of plugging into the USB drive and porting it out. It probably would be a software update, I would think. Are you concerned about that Tesla would just hyperleap over this and say, hey, we're going to pay Tesla tokens for your data? Because they're going to need this for AI training.
They are doing it, Paul, and that's why Tesla is Tesla. They are the best, in my opinion, crowdsource company for autonomous driving data. And that's why their FSD is better than any other product out there at the moment, because other companies do not have access, to this much data. They actually do it one level even more advanced, pre-process the data, because they have a big compute power as well in the car, which is quite actually crazy, the amount of compute that the car itself can do. So they're doing it. But at the end of the day, we're not scared that, let's say, Tesla will block this, because I think the direction that Tesla is going in general is let's turn the vehicle from a device to a platform where people can use the sensors of the vehicle within a certain framework, and they can build applications on top of that. They can, same way that Apple turned a normal phone that Ericsson was building with its own application into a platform with an app store. And this revolutionized. It was not straightforward back in the times, right? People thought, okay, why should I share kind of this access of building other apps and give it to other companies? I'm going to build the apps and I'm going to own them, and I'm going to charge the customer or the user all of the money that they have to pay for those apps. But Apple kind of opened the gate, and then suddenly they became a platform. All of the developers came in, they tried to build different business models and products and use cases, and it was unbeatable. The only other company that could compete with them was Android, Google with Android, which was the same kind of platform. A lot of companies like Nokia and Ericsson and so on went bankrupt. So I see Tesla doing the same to cars that Apple did to mobile devices.
Yeah, sure. Well, okay, so the other thing is going to be uptake in terms of the market, because I know with you, Diego, you've had the benefit of device users bringing on board data. Now we're going to see this emergence of now traffic data, trip data, road data starting to flow into this. Diego, how quickly do you think we'll see an impact on what OVR is doing with this partnership and this data now flowing into what you guys are doing?
Actually, very soon, because actually next month we're going to release our new proposition that is called OVR Business, where basically we're going to start targeting Web 2 companies, not anymore confined only in Web 3. The first use case will be actually to target with the value proposition that we already have of marketing agencies. But actually the second, and maybe will be also together, a target that we have is ride-sharing companies. So ride-sharing companies for micromobility have a big problem because they need to relocate their asset, their scooters and their e-bikes, very precisely in space. to actually check the parkings, because if they don't park it correctly, they're going to be fined by the city. So the problem is that, of course, they are limited with GPS. GPS doesn't have the precision to actually check the parking. So our data will be used to actually relocate in space to check if the scooter is parked correctly, while the data from Natix can be used to actually understand where they are in space when the GPS is not good enough. So, for example, the combination of these two data together will build a value proposition that we can actually monetize very quickly. So, and not only this, I mean, this is really the beginning of the propositions. But another thing that we're working on is what they are called large geospatial models. Now it's something that we still need to fully announce. But basically, these models are basically the counterpart to spatial intelligence to LLMs. So LLMs, basically, they just crunch text, while these basically models are trained with data, with visual data to understand the world. And there are many downstream applications to these models.
Okay.
One, of course, in our case, would be to have better mapping, because these models build priors on the structure of the world. But there's many use cases also for robots to understand, to segment the world around them, and so on. And this is made possible only by data.
One thing I wanted to hit you on, Alireza, was that when you look at Tesla, the front camera is, I think, one of the key things here. You've got the Cybertruck already has it out there. The new Model Y, which is not yet released here in the U.S. I know they're starting to sell in China, and that's the number one selling truck and the number one selling car that would have this new data input. So that immediately is available. Are you going to meet this March shipping date? I think you guys had on your website. I think it was March. Was it coming in March? Yeah, March. Yeah. Just so next month. You're going to hit this date.
Yeah. I think the development is going quite well. So let's say end of March, early April, we're going to able to ship, and it's going to come in batches. Of course, we're going to slowly start shipping. Usually with the DePIN projects, hardware is the issue. For us, hardware is ready. Right. We're going to announce as well a couple of partnerships that we have done with bigger Web2, let's say, players, both as customers for Natix and partners, let's say, technological partners. But, a lot of this thing is already ready. Hardware is ready. There are like proper testings that we are doing to make sure that when we, ship the product out, everything is smooth. Because, I always believe you have this like one shot when you ship the product out, right? Yeah. If you ship it out and it's not good, it's just bad for everyone. So we'd rather take maybe 1 or 2 weeks more on the software side to test everything, to figure things out. But on the hardware, everything is ready. Actually, we're going to get the hardware in bulk into our warehouse, I think, even in the matter of a few weeks.
Okay, all right, well, good. A couple of points I want to hit on here. I'm looking at your Natix map. So I'm in Miami here, and I'm looking at the roads. When you zoom in on these, you'll see that there are a few spots that are kind of missing, like that little spot right there. And do you think this is going to be solved with this Tesla integration?
By the way, this is one of the beauties of crypto. When they ask me, okay, why are you using crypto? Is it just for the settlement? Because you can also use fiat. I say no. One of the powers of crypto and DePIN is that we can mobilize our network extremely precise and efficient. And in this case, we have something called area-specific missions or jobs. Yeah. So we define an area in New York, a block, and then we put a bounty on it. And then you can see missions here. And there are some missions that are area-specific. And you can essentially, go do a mission that is a certain area of New York, and you get extra reward for that. So we can do targeted mapping based on what our clients have done. And actually in our focus cities like London, New York, and so on, we can pretty much map any area within the city and 2-kilometer padding within 48 hours from the point that we put the mission. So if that area has not been mapped yet, it's because we either didn't have the need for it or there was nobody. By the way, the data that you see on our coverage map is only from 8th of November. The project is live since April 2023. So you can imagine there's a lot of data that we're backfilling and is still not there from coverage point of view. This is just the past few months of data, and it will get covered in the next few months if you ask me. And to answer your last part, definitely Tesla will help. Although smartphone is much easier to scale, to be honest with you, Tesla definitely filled the gap in terms of coverage. But Tesla is not here for us to fill in those gaps, because Tesla produces a type of data that smartphone cannot. It's a 360 data,
Exactly.
it's video data, which is not just used for map making, also for autonomous driving. You cannot use dashcam video or footage
for autonomous.
or smartphone footage for autonomous driving application, because we don't have the surrounding.
Well, and it would, I think, to Diego's point is when you lose that 360 dynamic, you're probably going to be able to train robots either. So that's a problem if you're going to look at that market in the future where all this data is going to be available. I have a feeling both the combined data set that you guys are bringing to market is going to be very valuable to a lot of companies, especially as we start to evolve in these hardware components. Now, I want to go and flip over to Niantic real quick, and I have a couple other questions on the auto side. But when you look at Niantic, they've had some layoffs here. They've also canceled the NBA Marvel thing. My question, Diego, are we secretly seeing Niantic start to shrink in size because you got Sony coming in with what they've been able to do, and possibly Soneium maybe being the new competitor here with their XYN motion studio, all that now available? What is your thought about where the market is right now? It seems like there's a little bit of power struggle going on.
Well, yeah, it's always difficult to totally understand what is the situation with Niantic, because, I mean, they don't have the same transparency that we have in Web3, I would say. But definitely, I mean, there are quite a few moves on their direction. Also, the potential sale of Pokemon Go brand also. What I can see from the outside is that basically they have a very strong focus on the mapping side. They're still keeping that. Especially their acquisition of Scaniverse goes in that direction. What they say in the website to create the largest 3D map of the world is going that direction. And also regarding using this data, so also the training of LGMs is also something that they are building on. So I think they are probably concentrating their efforts in that direction. And I think, again, robotics is a huge driver over that. I think that the next big wave, I mean, the next big technological wave would be robots.
Huge.
And as you mentioned, I mean, robots need to understand where they are in space. I mean, there is no doubt on the fact that this data and this technology will become more and more strategic once we have robots out there. So I think that they are concentrating in that direction.
Do you think that XYN, their spatial capture solution, you look at that, they announced this, do you think they're going to leverage this into things more like game IP? You think Soneium, in terms of, you know, when you look at the blockchain integration and the potential here for Web3, do you think that's kind of the direction here, or is there another strategy from Sony that could impede on DePIN?
It looks like they are really concentrated, I mean, on the gaming part, but I mean, also it looks like they are like a natural player in the DePIN space. So probably we will see some moves also in that direction. So I would not be surprised if we could see more decisive move also in that direction. Yeah,
Soneium's daily transactions continue to climb here, so it's quite possible we'll see some more of that. There's only a handful. You've got Rivian out there, Porsche, which is getting into the point where they've got a lot more data coming into vehicles now. A lot of the higher end vehicles, to your point earlier, is because these cameras are expensive, especially when you get into 360. Why not other brands, you know, other than Tesla? Is it just that Tesla is more of a platform, or is it just you haven't done the deals yet?
No, we are going to do other brands this year. So Rivian, actually, you just mentioned them. They also have this functionality, and we are testing stuff. A couple of other brands are there. You know, BMW is there. There are, you know, quite a few other brands that we have either done successful testing or are in the process of testing. And good news is that it will be the same box, actually. So the way that we designed this box is to be able to integrate with these other, you know, vehicle manufacturers as well. Yeah, you just have to probably change the cable, because Tesla has USB-A. Right. You know, for another vehicle might be USB-C or, you know, another kind of connector. Okay. So the hardware stays the same, the connector would be different, and we will definitely expand into other vehicle manufacturers.
Yeah, listen, the growth of the market is really starting to accelerate. I had a chance to see Linus on one of the talk shows. He was showing the new, you know, dual camera glasses that he was talking about. You've got X-Real, which now has these dual cameras available. This seems to be coming to market pretty quickly and a fairly approachable price. That's a $600 $700. And then if you look at the Meta glasses on Ray-Ban, most likely we're going to see the next level of that. Right now, I think those are $200 to $300. You know, Diego, do you think we are close to mass adoption?
Absolutely, and I think for real this time, of course, I've always been super bullish on this space. That's why I've been building over. But yeah, I mean, we're seeing so many signals that, I mean, we are going to have some affordable smart glasses on the market, and actually something that you want to wear. So something that you can wear all the day. And this really will make this space explode, because once you can actually project things on your visual field, I mean, the whole game changes.
Yeah.
And not only that, I think there is an interesting thing. We're going to announce it actually quite soon. You know, there's also a big challenge over there. When you have all these people going around with smart glasses on their faces, you will have thousands of cameras that basically look around you all day long. So it's like bigging up an Opticon. So it's going to be very, very important that we have some privacy by default solution to actually run VPS. Actually, we are filing a patent right now on that, so I cannot totally disclose how this works, but this is something that we are going to work on, and we really believe will be very, very important. Because, of course, the privacy violation potential for these technologies is just incredible. You just could have your cameras on you every day. But taking away the backside, I mean, on the upside, really the adoption of the XR technology, spatial computing and technologies, will really explode thanks to these devices. We'll be able to generate more data, and actually we will be able to finally use all the infrastructure that we've been built up to date.
What about the AI agent side of the OVR? Here's a good example, just to show you possibly the integration of AI agents that could be incorporated into this. Do you see any future there?
Absolutely. I mean, of course, you know, I would say that we are quickly moving from a framework where LLMs and AI in general were just chatbots. We are moving towards a future where these AIs are not anymore chatbots, are agents that basically have goals and try to achieve these goals by themselves. So, of course, these agents, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, they will need data. And so, I mean, all of the DePIN platforms that can provide this data will be valuable also for these agents. So I see a future where we don't have only humans as, I mean, potential clients for this data, but also agents. So yeah, absolutely, there's a big integration potential over there.
I'm looking at your statement or your point right here from the Over Twitter account. And this is showing the AI agents as real estate, you know, kind of mapped in with it. So that in itself is kind of intriguing when you look at, you know, projects like Proppy, which we've talked about here on the show before. Let me bring up Proppy. Proppy, of course, kind of the real estate play, the potential here, if you look at the growth of Matterport, which has been in the market for a decade now. I guess to you, Alireza, would this be something that would compete with Matterport if you were to figure out a solution for real estate, AI integration with what OVR is doing? I would see this potentially as another area beyond just road mapping.
Definitely. I think for us as Natix, we have more focus on outdoor mapping. But if you ask me, I think we need both indoor mapping and outdoor mapping. Aerial mapping is also very important. There are a couple of DePIN projects that are doing that. Extremely important to have satellite or aerial using drones. There are good projects that are doing that. And then when we go to indoor mapping, as you're showing, actually, extremely important. And in the world that we have physical AI, a robot will go like a human being from the car to the pavement, to the sidewalk, you know, to inside the building, needs to be able to navigate inside the building, and then comes out and then sits in a car and then moves, right? So we need to have this end-to-end, let's say, I would say 3D reconstruction of the world to be able to enable robots to interact seamlessly. So yeah, I would say even if Natix wouldn't do it, it's needed. It's 100% needed. Somebody will do it, and it's complementary to what we're doing.
All right, this is kind of mind-blowing because I think we're at a very interesting state right now. A lot of new advancements here, definitely on the edge of really seeing what spatial computing can do. Let's talk about the roadmap real quick. I'll start off with you, Diego. Can you give me some insights to where OVR is heading for the rest of the year?
Yeah, as I was anticipating, basically the big release that we have next month is basically the business portal. So basically expanding what is our reach and basically reinforcing what we call the DePIN flywheel. So not only revenues from Web3 anymore, but actually also revenues from Web2 reinjected in the Web3 space and allowing to get more data and process more data. The other big thing that we are working on, I also anticipated, is these larger spatial models. Right now, as we mentioned, we arrived at 100,000 maps. But what is the next target? The next target will be half a million maps. How we get there? Of course, we're gonna keep mapping like we do now, but to actually scale even faster, we need to actually require less data to reconstruct this with the same quality. In order to do that, we need to use AI models. So AI models, like larger spatial models, what they can do thanks to the priors that they have of the structure of the world, take less pictures, less data, and fill the gaps with AI, basically generating understanding what is in the angles that they didn't see and actually fill in the gaps.
Right.
So this technology, we will be able to actually have faster mapping. And not only that, actually we'll be also able to integrate like sparse data sets. Like, for example, there are some open source data sets that are not super high quality, like Mapillary, for example, but still have data. Basically, really being able to train these models will allow us to actually do even more with less. Yeah. And so this is something that actually will bring us to the next step.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, we've been following OVR all the way since 2021, I think was really the last time we identified OVR as a potential future star in terms of where compute was going for DePIN before DePIN was cool. So kind of interesting to see you guys evolving. Alireza, how about you? Give me a couple of points that you guys are going to hit other than shipping in March. What else can you give me?
Yeah, so I think, so we're going to work with a lot of fleet owners as well on the Tesla side to really scale, to tens of thousands of units globally live. Yeah, our focus essentially this year is on revenue generation, protocol revenue. I think DePIN without protocol revenue is just talking.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
You got to do it.
That's what differentiates DePIN with meme coins and a lot of other empty projects, in my opinion. As a matter of fact, as a founder as well, we learned a thing or two. So with VX360, before it's even live, we're closing customers. So at the point that it's live, we already closed one customer exactly. And at the point that VX360 is live, the data will directly feed into the customer and they're paying for it. These avenues that I just explained, we would like to expand on these. So it was just, we started as just mapping. So the use case was only mapping, using cameras for map making. Now autonomous driving is much more interesting because it's much more lucrative in terms of what they pay for the data and the pain point. And then we are also going towards this visual positioning system, 3D reconstruction of the space, which is something that we're exploring with, OVR. So that's one thing. And then we're definitely also expanding to other types of cameras. I have always said it, we started with smartphone cameras because it's scalable. We then moved to Tesla cameras. And then there are a couple of other cameras that we're working on that we're going to add into our stack. So the goal is to have as many cameras. That's the vision. Of course, the vision of a company is something that is very difficult to achieve. But the vision is to have 45 billion cameras, which is the total number of cameras globally available as part of Natix network. That's crazy. That's what we're going to.
Billion cameras, 45 billion cameras. Okay.
Yeah, will it be?
Jesus, Lord. Okay, well that's a lot of cameras, man. All right, so a lot happening over there. We're going to try to get one of these devices in, and we're going to test it here in studio with our Teslas here and run it around and see what we can do with the new Natix tech. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Guys, thanks a lot for coming in today. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
Great seeing you.
Paul.
You bet. All right, so you guys, if you're not in the diamond circle right now, make sure and get in. I know the markets are really crazy right now, so this is the time to really kind of connectionist protection, that kind of component, which is getting with other like-minded people. You can do that in the diamond circle. And if you're not in our Telegram group, we leave a link for that. It's very easy to join. I'm in there every day. Of course, follow me out there on X, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.